Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following confession that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a message that we received. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world, and it reads like this. How are you, Brother Nashi? Please post my story as anonymous. We did not even know that our maid was a witch. To this very day, we are still fighting against a witchcraft in the family, and it seems as if now my mother has joined the team. She does not want to hear anything about this Zimbabwean woman. She has since disowned me. I do not even know what else to do. So, Brother Nashi, when you post, just make me to become anonymous. I am a South African woman, and I am writing this story because there are things that happened in our family and those that are still happening that I will never forget, that I want everyone to hear about. It all started when my mother was looking for a new maid. At that time, tensions had already grown in our house. My father was a man who loved women like crazy, and my dad, he was now staying with one of the ex-maids. In the past few years, we had already had two different maids whose employment had ended up in trouble. They were always causing trouble in my home. So my mother thought that the problem was that she was hiring local South African maids. That is what even my grandmother, who is my mother's mom, was saying, that instead of hiring these local girls, you need to look for a woman that came to this country to look for a job, and that is all that she cares about. Because all the maids that we had, if they were South Africans, they would complain if my mom would be like, you're going to stay here for the weekend, then you can only go to your family only once each and every month. They wanted to go back home each and every Friday, and then they come back maybe on Monday later on. So the first maid, she was a lot of trouble. Whenever we would have left the house to go on a vacation, then she would bring in some of her boyfriends, and it was total chaos. And it seemed as if my father's family, they were liking her more than they liked my mom, because even though she was causing all of this chaos in the family, they did not even care about the complaints that my mother was saying. They would be like, no, do not fire him. She is nice with the kids. This maid, she was then fired after she had a big fight with my mom. After some time, another one came. The story started to repeat itself. She would drink alcohol with my dad. She would go with my dad to the tavern at the location where she was staying, and my dad would be lying that he is at the office, yet he was at the tavern. One day, my dad was then stabbed by that maid's boyfriend, because my father was said to be dating that same maid. By that time, it was time to find another maid. My mother was already terrified. My mother is someone that is always working, and the kind of a job that she does as an engineer, she always moves from one site to another inspecting. She can be like in Joburg today, then after a couple of days she will call you and she will be like, I'm in Venda, this and this place, because of the type of work that she is doing. So she always need a maid. One day, that was when grandmom told her to look for a maid who comes maybe from Lesotho or from outside of the country. So my mother and I, we were sitting with one of her friend, who then said, why don't you get a girl that is from Zim? That is how the story of Cynthia began in our life. My mother's friend was the one who found her number. Cynthia was living in Johannesburg at that time. She did not have proper documentation to stay in the country. By then, we were living in the other house, because my parents, they have a couple of houses in 4 provinces. My mother, if she has projects that she is managing in Cape Town, we are staying in Cape Town. My mother then started to talk with her on the phone for a whole week. She was doing an interview. She would ask her questions. Brother Nashi, Cynthia answered each and every question very well. She was very respectful. She spoke very nicely, and it was someone that was outside of the country, and my mother said, this one is good. let us try to book her so that she can come to Cape Town. I still remember the day that she arrived. She was only 24 years old, and it seemed as if she had struggled. Shame, that woman. She was very thin, she was quiet, and she was wearing, those fake Adidas tracksuits that those guys from Zim love to wear. At first, we all liked her, especially my mother, because my mother was like, if she does not have documents, she is going to do her job without even questioning anything. But unlike the maids that we had before, she was a hard worker, incredibly hard. We always had problems with our maids. Take, for an instance, if the washing machine will break, our old maids, they will just wait for it to get repaired. They would not even wash any clothes, even the dishwasher. Your own maid telling you that they can't wash their dishes using their own hands. But as for this same Cynthia, she would not do that. She would fill the bathtub with water, wash everything by hand. By the time that you wake up, all the clothes, they are already waiting to be taken outside. Brother Nashim, the clothes would come out so clean that we were genuinely amazed, because when you are using a washing machine at all the times, the clothes, they are not going to be so clean, especially if it is white. As time goes on, they will start to be like cream white instead of pure white. So when you are washing using your hands, everything is going to come out and it will start to look nice. My mother constantly said that this girl is working really hard. She did not mind if there was not a lot of work. This girl, what she would do is that she will start to even work in the garden. The lawn, before she had came to our house in Cape Town, the lawn was getting dry because my mother had not managed to get someone that would come to the house constantly. So this girl, she will take like that hose pipe and then she would water the lawn. She would do all the work. Within 2 months, she became a very trusted person in the house. She cooked, cleaned, and she looked after the garden. She even helped with things that were not even part of her job. My dad loved and respected him. My mother loved her, and I even started to see him as my older sister. But things began to change bit by bit. At first, I started to have strange dreams. Cynthia began telling me that if you have that kind of a dream, it means that you are being called by your ancestors. I would see a snake that will be waiting for me when I want to cross the river. When I would see that snake, I would feel so terrified and I would run away. So she told me not to run away from such a snake because this represented my own ancestors. I told her that I was having these terrifying dreams, and she would encourage me to play with the little children that I was seeing in my dreams. And she started to initiate me to start worshiping the ancestors, and it was so scary. One day I was in her room and I started to doze off because she now had a TV inside of her room. We were watching some Nigerian movies and then I dozed off. When I went to bed, that was when I saw Cynthia, like she was with me and she was completely naked, and it was as if there was someone that had taken some ashes and put those ashes all over her face, and she was scary to look at. And then I saw that she had a baby that was on her back. She was carrying a baby, and she said to me, I want you to breastfeed this child. The moment that I accepted that child and I started to breastfeed, I then saw one of my grandmother. She was my grandmother's young sister from my mother's side. She was crying and she was saying, it's witchcraft, it's witchcraft. Throw away that togoloshi. When I woke up, I saw that I was on my period. I then told her, and then she said, it is just a dream. And because she was someone that was very nice, and I really never believed in witchcraft, I just thought that maybe I was having a lot of nightmares from the Nigerian movies that we were watching because they were showing a lot of witchcraft and juju. One night, in the middle of the night, I wanted some water And then that was when I went to the kitchen and I saw Cynthia. She was just standing outside, not knowing what she was doing there. Like, it was so shocking for me when I saw Cynthia standing outside in the middle of the night. And then when I closed the fridge, I suddenly saw her. She was standing behind me and she was saying, "Oh, I'm just looking for juice." But yet I had seen her outside. How she had managed to enter inside the kitchen, I did not even hear the door being opened. I nearly broke the glass that I was holding because my hands were so shaky. One day, my mother was the one who told me something that shocked me. She said once she had found Cynthia, she was eating raw meat. My mother thought that maybe she was preparing to cook, but she said when Cynthia was caught, she became completely nervous and she said, "I just wanted to taste this chicken." And my mom, she said, maybe that is what she is. She just wanted to taste, but it is very funny. I've never seen someone eating raw chicken. And the biggest change began to happen to my mother. My mother used to be a prayerful person. Every morning before work, if she was at home, she would wake us up so that we can read the Bible together. Every evening, she would pray with us, even on the phone. That is what I had known since I was a child. But after Cynthia had arrived, things started to change. At first, my mother would feel lazy to go to church. Then she would say that she is tired. Then one Sunday, she stayed home, another and another. Everyone started to notice, including my father, who asked her, "What about church?" My mother would be like, "These days I feel like I want to pray in my own house." But she never went to church. She started to make new friends, women that we did not even know. They would come to the house and they would talk with my mother about traditional healers. It was something that was very weird. One day, that was when I saw my mother. She was kneeling on the floor with Cynthia, who was speaking in Isishona, and they were doing some rituals that I could not understand. I just went where they were, and then I asked my mom what she was doing, holding a white candle, and she said that she was speaking with her ancestors. And I said, "Since when? I know that you are someone that prays. What are you doing to yourself?" So this issue, Brother Nashi, it started to affect our family. My mom then started to prefer to stay in another house because my father was forcing him to go to church. It's like they were about to get a divorce. There was another thing that happened that hurt the family to this very day. So my mother, she started to ask my father's young brother. He was already experiencing problems in his marriage. And what my mother started to do was that he would go with Cynthia, the maid, and leave Cynthia there so that she can sleep with the brother-in-law, my uncle. In the end, the wife of my father's younger brother moved out of the house. The marriage ended, and shortly after that, Cynthia then got married in the family. She is now with us. Cynthia, a woman who just arrived as a maid, now she has become part of the family. And when Cynthia was now part of the family, she started to show us her true colors. But my mother, she refused to see it the way that it is. And she just said that all of you, you are just jealous that God has uplifted this woman. As I'm speaking with you, Cynthia is ruling over our family. When I talk about the elderly people in the family, my father is the one that is the only one left, and I have been having a dream. This kind of a dream that I have been having, it is so scary because I see my mother burying my father, and there will be a group of women that will be having some mask that they use to cover their faces because they do not want me to see that who are they. But as for Cynthia, she will be there. She will be covering her face with her eyes. Then she gets tired and removes her hands from her eyes. And then I see that it is Cynthia. and then she would run away. She is the one that is coaching my mother as I see my mother dragging the coffin into the grave as she is laughing. My dad, as I'm speaking right now, is sick. My dad just had a small wound on his leg. This wound, there is no one that knows where this wound came from. And I suspect that maybe my mother is the one that could have given some poison, some sort of like a poison to my dad, because when all of these things were happening, my dad had said that he wants to divorce my mother, saying that I can't continue to stay with your mother because she now believes in things that I do not believe in. So my mother apparently had agreed and said that it is okay. She also wanted a divorce. But then my mother came and visited my dad, and she even called me and she said that she was with dad in Cape Town. I was here in Johannesburg. And later on, that was when my dad called me and said that they had sorted out the issues that were happening between them. So I started to protest and I said, no way, this is not going to happen. But the elderly people in the family, they then said to me, you cannot be the one to stand in front of your parents and then you tell them what you want to be done and what you do not want to be done. So you just need to listen to your father and your mother. If this is what they want, let them do it, because they are the adults. They know what they want. So, Brother Nanshi, I suspect that maybe my dad could have been given some things like charms. I really do not know how to explain it to you, but my dad all of a sudden, he started to act as if like he is a zombie. When you are with him, sometimes he can just say, my daughter, you know about your mother and I'm really sorry I disappointed you, but I don't think that your mother is the right person for me. I just want us to be on separation. Once he says that, if my mother calls my dad will start to change and act as if you are the one that has been coaching him to divorce. So my mother hates me right now. She can even threaten me, even on my WhatsApp. I have some messages that I made a screenshot about my mother. She was even threatening me. She said, if you came out of me, you are going to see what is going to happen to you. You think that you can destroy my marriage. Yet she was the one who used to say that she did not want my father anymore. She is like best, besties with Cynthia. They do things together, even at family gatherings. It is very tiresome, the things that they do. They'll be forcing everyone to do rituals, and there is no one that can even force them in the family. It is really painful that is happening to our family. What has brought me here, I just want to know, is there any way that I can use to help my mother so that she can break free from this curse if it happens that my mother is under a curse, so that she can become a normal person like she used to be? We can continue to go to church like the way that we used to go to church, and our family can be okay again. When I talk about my uncle, it is so sad. My uncle, he used to be someone that used to talk a lot. Even during family gathering, he used to be a boring person. He would be talking, but now, ever since he got married to Cynthia, he's always quiet. He's like a dog that is always on a leash. You know, when there is a family gathering, those that are the daughter-in-laws in our family, they will be together doing the dishes. My uncle, who is married to Cynthia, will be with the women, washing, even cutting the firewood, doing all the things that the women will be doing, assisting my mother and Cynthia to cook, fetching plates, and even dishing out the food. He can even be wearing an apron like he is a woman. And I don't know the things that they do in their house, because I do not even want to know. So I rarely even visit them because I am afraid of Cynthia. I just want to know if there is any way, Brother Nashi, that I can be able to rescue my mother first, and then we can talk about my uncle, and we rescue her from Cynthia, whom we know is a witch. Your dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to us by one of our dear sister. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world. If you have ever come such a situation, you can come to my inbox and then you share with us your own side of the story.